uncomfortable situations. If people realize that like uncomfortable situations, like they lead to the massive amount of personal growth, well, use like when you're nervous or when you're uncomfortable, use that as an anchor to realize like, yo, I'm about to level up.
This is Entrepreneurs the Playbook, where I give you access each week to the world's greatest athletes and executives about their personal and professional playbook and what has made them champions on and off the field. This is the Playbook. This is Dave Meltzer, CEO of Sports One Marketing with Entrepreneur the Playbook. And I got a player here, Nick Santonastasso. Bam!
That was money.
Boom!
Money right there, brother.
I'm the name butcher and I got it right.
You got it.
This is already my favorite podcast. That's awesome. Well, Nick's a great speaker, but most of all, what makes people a great speaker is that they're inspirational. And, you know, it's obvious to people out there that they would say you have disabilities. I just say that you have apparent disabilities because I believe you're lucky. And I know it's a weird place to start this off. You're lucky because your disabilities are apparent to everyone, where mine aren't.
Got it.
Right? I'm a disabled person in emotional. There's all types of things that I have to deal with that are much harder to find.
Internally.
Yeah. And I think it's nice when there's someone that really, to me, portrays happiness. And, you know, although there's challenges that you have that I'll never have, there's some blessings also that you have. And so I want to start there.
For sure.
Tell me some of the blessings in your life.
Oh man, so you said I'm lucky, and I was just thinking about that. If I wasn't like this, right, if I wasn't born, I don't think I'd have the reach. I don't think I'd be able to impact, you know, the millions of people. I don't think I'd be able to, you know, be in the position I am today if I wasn't born like this. And so that kind of was a big mindset shift for me when I realized like the things that I thought were the most negative about me turned out to be my biggest tools of influence, is my biggest superpowers, right? The things that I hated about myself. And so
and how old were you when that started to shift, that paradigm shifted?
I was 17, 18. Mm-hmm. It was my senior year of high school when I was a varsity wrestler, and kind of realized like the impact I have on people. I was like, wow, that's weird.
And sports played a critical role in giving you that confidence of illuminating your own things that you hate about yourself.
Absolutely.
And using that as your superpower.
Yeah, wrestling saved my life for sure.
Saved your life.
Yeah.
Wow. I obviously I'm a sports guy.
Yeah.
And I try to tell people, I know I'm not Warren Moon, my business partner, but like if I could tell you how much playing football made my life.
Yeah.
Like my wife and my mom saved my life because I was a bigger moron than you'd ever be. But that's what gave me the inspiration, that it gave me the roadmap to success. And I see, you know, for me, people have to participate in sports. Tell me one thing in wrestling that kind of was a catalyst for you to say, wait a second, you know what? I got a lot of superpower.
Yeah, there was a particular moment. I was a senior in high school. I was wrestling varsity for 106 pounds. And so, but my senior year I was 2-17, but that was 2 more wins I got the previous year, and that's winning, progress.
Yeah.
But I knew I wasn't the best wrestler. And so I came off the mat one time after getting my butt kicked, and you know, I would never understand why they were standing ovations when I lost. It pissed me off. I'm like, why are you clapping for me? I just got my butt kicked. Like, you know, I'm a very competitive person, just like you. And so I came off the mat, and this lady came up to me crying, and I'm like, you know, oh God, you know, what did I do now? And she's like, Nick, you know, she was teary-eyed. She said, I want to thank you. I'm like, lady, did you see that performance? Like, I just got my butt kicked. Like, what are you thanking me for? And she said, well, you see, my daughter's over there on the sideline, and she's very shy. She never wanted to do a sport. She never wanted to do an extracurricular activity. But she saw you. She saw you out there doing that, and you did something. You motivated her. You shifted her perspective. You did something that I kind of couldn't get through to her as a parent. And I want to thank you because she's asking me to try all these activities, these sports. You got her out of her comfort zone. And that was like my Quanta Moment of like, whoa, because I was focused on myself. I was on the mat trying to dig myself out of my own hole, my own internal hole, my hole of being suicidal, my hole of being disgusted in my body. Like, I was there for me. And this lady saying that I was motivating someone passively, and that's when I thought, well, okay, well, if I focus my energy on serving others, if I focus my energy on making maybe people laugh or motivating them, that's fulfilling. You know, helping people, that's fulfilling. That makes me feel good. And so that little like conversation was like, wow, maybe I am put on this earth as an example. Maybe I am put on this earth like this, like born like this for a reason, because I was coming from that victim mentality. You know, the victim mentality of like, why me? Yeah,
I think
exactly.
something
To you and not for you. Exactly.
Or through you.
Yeah,
right?
through
'Cause
you,
things are
like you were
happening
saying.
through you,
Exactly.
right? So it's interesting because you talked about suicide, and it's a huge problem today. You know, in the position that I'm in, so many people reach out to me in that capacity. Either they are contemplating it because they feel that self-loathing, or they want to help others that are contemplating it. It's a huge issue, and
Skyrocketing.
to me, it's something. I got to be with Mike Tyson, and he said one thing. He lost his daughter, and he said never in his life. He had some rough times, Mike Tyson. He said never in his life had he ever contemplated taking his own life, and he said when that happened, it was just a glimpse. Right? It wasn't something that like other people dwell on it, and you maybe, and I'm going to ask you in a second. But he said I was more focusing on killing other people. That's what like,
That's aggressive.
He literally, he's
yeah.
aggressive, right? He's like, I'm not going to hurt myself. I'll just hurt everybody else.
Yeah.
Can you talk me through, because of your disability as a parent, and people can understand, God, I hate myself, right? People make fun of me. Why is my life so hard? Getting dressed is harder, let alone the rest of my day. People are staring at me, all these different things, which is ironic now because people stare at you and they're like, oh, there's Nick, if I can pronounce his last name, if I just say Santo, right?
Yeah.
There's Nick Santo, and but talk me through, because I think it'll help a lot of people. Look, what someone thinks about, like actually taking their own lives because they feel so low.
Yeah, so I think my biggest trigger, I was actually just talking about this, my biggest trigger I think for me through middle school and high school for suicidal thoughts was females. Mm-hmm. And so like we're both humans, right? And like we want to be loved on, and we want like whatever way you go, you want someone to love on you. Whether you want female energy, male energy, you want that energy. And so like, middle school and high school not only is the most judgmental times of our lives, but like girls and guys are a big like factor, right? Like you want a girlfriend or you want a boyfriend, right? But for me, like just seeing like, people in relationships or girls loving on guys, and like I didn't get that. And so that kind of always triggered me to like, well, I'm disgusting and girls don't want to like me before this, and I'll never have a girlfriend, or girls will never love on me. Even to the littlest things of like, I can't walk a girl to her locker, I can't open the locker for her, I can't hold her books for her, I can't hold her hand the correct way because I have one finger. All these things go into my head, right? Of like, oh my God, like, you're disgusting, like you're worthless. And that's what we talk about is like humans, we're the only human, like we're the only species that can think a thought and make ourselves pissed off and really low, and think a thought and make ourselves really high. And so I think the biggest key to that is self-awareness and realizing the state you're in. And so I think like putting it in the simplest form is like you got to sit in the crap for a little bit. You got to sit in your diaper. You got to sit in your, you got to sit in the shit for a little bit. And so I don't know if we're allowed to curse on here, but so like what I mean by that is like realize the thoughts that are going through your head. Like realize the self-talk that you are putting into your brain, and realize, your state, you're probably slumped over, you're not talking. And I had one of these moments, like it still happens to me. Like it doesn't just go away, like it's a muscle. Like it still happens.
Still happens to me.
Exactly.
Like it almost sometimes aggravates me when people tell me how lucky I am, like how much they admire me, and sometimes it could be because I'm human. And I'm like, God, if you would have known what I thought about this morning. The difference is, I think I said this in my speech this morning, right? How quickly can I go back to center?
Exactly.
Right? How quickly can I get back to peace and say, no, those are illusions.
Yeah.
Right? I only help others by helping myself. The better I feel, the better I make other people feel.
Exactly.
And you light up a room, right? I got to come up from behind and I'm speaking, and you're full of light. I'm gonna ask a little bit more personal question. So now you've kind of evolved, right? The wrestling gave you initial confidence, gave you some perspective. You started loving yourself. One thing I will add is a lesson, because I like to give these in this. I hated my father. And what I realized in my 30s was the reason I hated my father was the things I hated about myself.
Yeah.
Right? And that was hard for me to deal with. And then I started realizing, man, the things that aggravate me about other people are the things that I don't like about myself. The things that bug me about other people are the things that bug me about myself. And the number one thing that bugged me about myself was I was a manipulator. So, I always had good intentions. I gave money, I did, but it bugged me when people would like little white lies. They'd oversell me, back-end sell me, manipulate me, and really bug me. And I'd sit on my high horse.
Yeah.
Right? So today, how do you deal with that one thing that was your nemesis? Obviously it takes a particular, emotionally intelligent woman, right, to date you. right? And I'm taking an assumption that your dating life improved.
My dating life improved? Yeah, for sure. So so it's like self-talk, right? And I'm a firm believer that life is just perspective. Life is all about perspective. The more perspective we can gain, the happier we'll be. Living in a state of gratitude, all the things that you talk about as well. And so my biggest mindset shift, and empowering thing was realizing that, like, if this woman or this girl doesn't want to talk to me or further this relationship because of what she sees here, then this, like, disability or whatever you want to call it, is an authentic filter. It's working for me, because those aren't the type of girls that I want to be around anyway. Period.
And that's true about everybody in life. This is why your apparent disability is so important for people to understand, because that's the secret to life.
It's I'm still learning about it, right? Like, I'm still like realizing it, each and every day. Like, it doesn't just, I want people to realize it. It does just, like, it is a switch, but it's also like a muscle. Everything's a muscle, right? And so realizing that, like it's like being emotionally invincible, like my friend Hal Elrod, good mentor, Miracle Morning, he talks about it. It's just like, it's all about perspective. And so, like I said, if someone doesn't want to talk to me, or like a girl doesn't want to talk to me further something, like, fine, like, that's not the type of person I need in my life anyway. And that was super empowering for me, because then it didn't upset me.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect me, because I'm like, I'm good, like.
It was interesting because although I felt the exact same way that you felt, right? I just picked on different apparent disabilities that I had. I was too short. I had too big of a nose. I mean, there's a ton of things that bothered me about myself.
Yeah.
And girls rejected me, right? I think you heard the story that I married the girl that rejected me the most in my life.
Yeah.
But I wish, people would realize that everybody, no matter how good looking you are, feels the same way. And when I got older, I started realizing that the same was true about women. And so, like, if I was myself, if I showed my frequency to a woman, no matter what she looked like, right? Because I was one of those guys like, oh, she's too good looking to go out with, right? Including my wife.
All the thoughts that go through her head.
Including my
Everyone,
wife.
girl and guys.
Like, I always say, thank goodness, I was buzzed when I met, again, my wife in Mexico. Because that, liquid courage was in my head. She wasn't too good looking or my dream girl that day. And so I just came across with all the confidence in the world that, you know what, this is me, right?
Yeah.
Love me, don't love me, this is me. And I
vulnerable, just throwing yourself out there.
Yeah, and I still am. It's like, you know what, someone asked me with business, they had, been wealthy and had that big suite. And they're like, what do you do with all their friends that aren't around anymore? Let them be.
Yeah.
Like, they're not friends.
Clearly, if they're not around.
Look, you only need one. I mean, some people might want more, but I believe you only need one liaison in your life, one witness, one partner. Let's find the right one.
Yeah.
That appreciates, a short, balding, chubby Jewish guy who has a fairly good sense of humor. If that's your gig, then let me find that one woman that finds that extremely attractive.
Exactly.
Right? And, like I'm just blown away by that transition. The thing I like most about you, and we have this in common, is you're such an inspiration to so many people, but you're a realist about it. You keep on repeating to me, I just want to make sure everybody knows I'm still dealing with this every day of my life. I still get choked up, right? I tell a story about my dad hurting my feelings by not giving me a birthday present, and I cry.
Yeah.
I've told this story a ton of different times. There's obviously, I'm still working through this. It's a muscle. And if we're not consistently working on a muscle, it's just like, your left bicep.
Yeah.
If you're working it out, that's fine. Wait a couple weeks and don't work out. It's going to shrink.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right? and so how do you stay consistent then?
I think it's putting yourselves in more situations like that, more situations where you have the ability to work that muscle. So maybe it's just maybe what females is going out and talking to more females, or just being more vulnerable and realizing, like we said, if like you put yourself out there, like you did in Mexico, when you put yourself out there, if someone's going to deny your frequency, then good. But you're getting familiar with like that muscle of rejection. Like you don't care, like that's fine, and I think that's the same thing for everything, because I like to paint pictures. I think the most efficient way to teach people is like make it simple and paint pictures for people. And so with me and weightlifting and everything's a muscle. And just for example, like uncomfortable situations. If people realize that like uncomfortable situations, like they lead to the massive amount of personal growth, well, use like when you're nervous or when you're uncomfortable, use that as an anchor to realize like, yo, I'm about to level up. But like by doing things that are uncomfortable, you get comfortable with being uncomfortable by exercising that muscle. And so I think people just need to exercise certain muscles in life. So like it's just second nature. And I think that's one of the advantages I had growing up with my parents. My parents, you know, the way they raised me, they put things in front of me. We're like, figure it out. The world's not going to stop for you.
Nice.
You know, here's your clothes, here's your food, figure it out. But what that got my mindset in the rhythm of, okay, it's not can't, but how. But it also got my mindset in the rhythm of things are going to be hard, but that's okay. Like, it's just going to take extra time. And I feel like people don't exercise that muscle of like right now with phones and you know, the day and age that we live in, like we can FaceTime people instantly, we can get our favorite movie instantly, we can get every instantly, but when it comes to business and longevity, people are like, it's too hard. You know, or when things get hard, they just throw the curtain in or throw the towel in, you know? And so I think everything's just exercising the muscles of life.
What is still today your weakest muscle, the one that you need to really work on? Emotional muscle, obviously.
Emotional, I think, I mean, we all have limiting beliefs, right? Limiting beliefs. Yeah. I have limiting beliefs. I still have limiting beliefs.
And unconscious competencies.
Yeah. So we all have limiting beliefs, and to be honest, here I am. I'm 22 now. I'm 22. I'm not 21 anymore. I'm 22. We started the keynote speaking company a year ago. I'm learning how to be a CEO. I'm learning how to do business, and like I think one of my still limiting beliefs is like I don't have the abilities to have an abundance of money. You know, this is something that I still struggle with. You know, like that like I'm not capable of having an abundance of money, and financial freedom is very hard to obtain, and there's not an abundance of opportunities. It's something that still goes through my head every day, and the reason why I share this with people is they know that we're just people, and this stuff still goes through our heads, right? And so I think that, and still working on, females. I think always exercising the muscle, and so
Well, just so you know, I'm married 21 years, and I have 3 teenage daughters. I'm still working on that.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Still trying to figure it out.
They're a different species. No, I'm just kidding. But
they're a higher species. Give them the compliment they deserve.
For sure.
That's what makes it so challenging.
Yeah, exactly. We're trying to get up to your frequency.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. I just don't have the awareness to figure it out.
Yeah, but like I said, just being super transparent as a 22-year-old CEO that's new to business, it's like I'm not on the other side of the fence, and I want people to realize that I'm still in the grinding mode. Like a year and a half, almost my team, we haven't even taken paychecks yet. Everything gets reinvested back into the company because we know we're not in the point that we can give out salaries. And so my tribe's ride to die, super grateful for them that they're still working just off what we do. But I think that's one of the things that I struggle with is realizing because I'm not on the other side of the fence and I haven't got to see that abundance of financial freedom yet. And it's man, where is it? Why can't I have it? Why? I do so much good in the world and I give myself and I give and give and it's still not coming around. What am I doing wrong? Yeah, I think that's one of the things I struggle with.
You're doing nothing wrong. It's just time.
Thanks.
It's just time. Every, whether you have apparent disabilities or not, every 21-year-old entrepreneur has the exact same problem. And what I wish upon you is the same problem I got by the time I was 30 is, man, am I worthy of everything that I have? And hopefully I can help through that. I am more than happy to help as well, business coach through that. But the nice thing is your problems are now the same as everybody else's, and I can tell that there are no suicidal thoughts, you love yourself.
I do, and I think being grateful and perspective really helps me. And I can sit here and say that, a man with no legs and one arm, there are millions of people out there that would switch places with me in an instant because they just don't have it like I do.
Right.
Who am I to complain? This is, and this isn't a disability. I always say the biggest disability is a bad mindset. It's not this. And so, who am I to say that I have it worse than someone? I'm just perspective and gratitude has totally switched everything with me. There aren't, whenever I find myself in a deep hole, I'm dude, come on now. The things that you're complaining about on a day-to-day basis, all of us, they're, in the grand scheme of life, they're not problems.
They're not problems at all, man. They're blessings. They're
exactly.
All blessings. All right, last question. Just because I rarely get someone as significant as you on my show and with just such soul, I need to ask you for advice. I'm 50 years old. I speak, I coach, I run businesses, but what I'm searching for is that purpose, that pursuit, and you have purpose. What advice, as little as you know about me, you can give it to me or to everyone. What's the best piece of advice that you can give me or anyone else?
Ask you what makes you feel good? What makes you feel the most alive? What makes you, want to get out of bed each and every day? Because when your why is there, when your purpose is there and your vision is there, that's what gets you out of bed on those days. You're like, man, I don't want to get out of bed. And we can both agree that we all have those days, right? We all have those days where we don't want to get out of bed. And so when your why is big enough and your vision and what you want to accomplish or what you want to give, like I know that you talk about using, you know, entrepreneurship and making money to give back. Like that's something that you probably need to do more of because it fulfills you. Yep. And especially where you're at in your life, if you want like my advice from me to you is like, yo, go do some more fun stuff. You already crushed life. Like you've already crushed like the financial game.
This
you
is
have a
the
beautiful
fun stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like, you know, like just go do things that make you feel alive. Go give more. You know, some of the things that I do and it all comes back to perspective is I'm from New Jersey, but I live in Tampa now, and I've never seen so many, to be honest, homeless people around. And so like when days I'm like in the super low, like I'll go give food.
Good.
Like I'll just go to a stoplight and hand a bag out, and you know I know that I made someone's day, but like go do just the little stuff, like give back. And when we talk about giving back, it's not just money. People immediately correlate that with money. Go give them a compliment. Go give them a hug. Go give a stranger a smile. And that was the one thing that I realized is like energy is contagious. I realized that when I was at that super low point, I put a mask on because I knew that just by me having a simple smile in public can change someone's day around. And if I was moping and had my eyebrows crunched down, that energy is contagious, may be negative. So I put on a mask because I always knew I had that lighthouse mentality. I always wanted to be I'm still that in my family. I'm still that with my friends, everyone. And so I always just try to bring as much positive energy as I can. But I'd say for you to go do more things that make you feel alive.
That's awesome. Well, you are a lighthouse, and you elevate and liberate others with your life. What I like most about this interesting is your journey was you needed to find your what, and then you found your why. And now your biggest question at 22 is the how. And I love the fact that you've evolved far enough to know that, hey man, I'm searching for how now, but there are no no's in your book. Like this attitude is impressive, and when you hear a no, you gotta re-engineer it. You're human, you work the muscles, but you're in the how phase. I tell people all the time, I don't say no, I say, how are we gonna get it done?
How?
Right, you come from me, how are we gonna get it done? How? So I think you got the what nailed, you got the why nailed, you're fired up, and now find some mentors and learn. The miracles and mistakes will be there for you. You're right where you're supposed to be. But I'd be happy to help you find the how as well.
Appreciate that. I'll be calling you.
That to me,
I'll be calling you.
That to me, like you said, do more of what I love to do. To me, one of my missions, there'd be nothing that would make me prouder than to have you have the same problem at 30 that I had. Like, do I deserve all this? Right? I just hope you have worthiness problems. So we can work through that. We'll get more
Those
how
are good
issues.
problems. Good problems to have.
Anyway, super entrepreneur here. And I'm just blessed to have you. We'll have to do this again. If you ever need anything, just let me know how I can be of service.
Likewise, brother. If you want to go do some crazy things
that
make you feel alive, I'm in. I like cars. Let's do it.
All right, I'm coming to Tampa. Hopefully I'll make it and survive. This is Nick Santo. I'm not going to say the whole last name because I pulled it off once. Not going to do it again. Dave Meltzer here with Entrepreneurs, The Playbook.